it's the biggest big sale ever at the official House of Accessories on 2 Hanover Street.
Bijou Turner.
Only $5 on earrings and bangles, $10 on selected necklaces,
and $15 on hats, bags, and more. Everything must go this Friday and Saturday.
Blowout sale
at the official House of Accessories on 2 Hanover Street. Bijou Turner.
Blowout sale.
This is it, the 2016 Madam Wap Duet Canada Cultural Show. Madam of Madams is on Saturday, October 1st, 2016 at the St. Peter's and Paul Banquet Hall, 231 Milner Avenue, Markham Road and 401 in Toronto, Canada. The best of Dominica's culture will be on display as we celebrate the Madam Wap Duet Canada's 5th anniversary. The Madam Wap Duet Canada Cultural Show, Madam of Madams, will be a fierce contest as past winners and runners-up bring their experience, flair, and beauty to the stage. There can only be one Madam of Madams. This year's theme is Viva Cici Calderon, honoring one of Dominica's cultural advocates, Mabel Alice Cici Calderon. Tickets are only $50 for dinner, show, and dancing. October 1st, 2016 Madam Wap Duet Canada Cultural Show, Madam of Madams, at the St. Peter's and Paul Banquet Hall, 231 Milner Avenue in Toronto, Canada. See you there.
We'll be talking to the opposition leader. There's a big protest planned for 4:30 this afternoon. But before that, let's check up with Carlisle to find out what's going down on the block. Carlisle, good afternoon.
Matt, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your many listeners. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing pretty okay. I'm monitoring some story there in Martinique. But as soon as I get the details, Carlisle, I will share that with you. But it has to do, with news about Al Qaeda and possibly, Carlisle, possibly the reports are indicating that police are in search of somebody that may be linked to Al Qaeda that the police suspect maybe in the neighboring island of Martinique. But we'll get the details and confirm everything, and then we'll bring more details. But what's going down with you?
Well, I lots of things, well, the hospital and a lot of things at the hospital. But are you aware, man?
Is the scan not working still?
CT scan for 2 months. 2 months and kicking. The CT scan at the Princess Margaret Hospital is not working. It has been down. Doctors are they don't know what to do. They're frustrated. Staff frustrated. People coming to do CT scan. In fact, about 3 days ago, you were around when this Chinese guy fell and the fire and ambulance came. I saw my good friend Kenny John Baptist, Kenny G. I need to tell him congratulations. He came with the fire official. He's always on target whenever it comes to assisting, and he was there assisting. And then someone whispered to me, Carlisle, see the state of this gentleman. Are you aware that the CT scan at the Princess Margaret Hospital has not been working for the last 2 and kicking months? I'm like, what? And
what happened? They can't find somebody to fix it, Carlisle?
I don't know, Matt, but nobody seems to be taking stock of that. Absolutely no one seems to be taking stock of what is going on.
And you have to ask yourself, continually, what are our priorities in Dominica?
Well, that is the multi-million-dollar question. What are our priorities in Dominica? And as we speak about that, Matt, at the Dominica State College, there are lots of things happening there. In terms of putting people, they remove the bursar. My understanding is that they remove the bursar. They are cash strapped at the Dominica State College, and brother man, my understanding is that the situation is not good at the Dominica State College. Not good at all. And,
is government? I know government gives them a subvention, every year. Do you know that whether government is up to date on that?
I am not sure, but Mr. What is his name? Dr. Donald Peters. I think he's out of state at this point in time, because if he's back, maybe this week. Because I've been trying to reach him. So Dr. Donald Peters, maybe you can shed some light as to what is the treatment, what is the situation at the Dominica State College, and what is going on there, because my information is that it is not good at all. And as we move on, Matt, the matter that we spoke about yesterday, really police, that to me is the central matter. On all corners of Roseau that you pass, people are talking about that. And I met one individual, and the individual said, Carlisle, we were very surprised that you got that thing to the T. We got that to the, Matt, we got that I dotted and T's crossed. We got that right on cue. So,
well, many people missed the story. Can you repeat, what was revealed? I think it was 2 days ago, was it yesterday, that we broke that story about the special branch officer attempting to bribe, if you will, an immigration officer, to help him to extend some work permits for Haitian immigrants.
And someone subsequently put 300 EC dollars.
No, I missed that story. I didn't bring up your mic in time there. Repeat that.
I'm saying that someone subsequently put 300 EC dollars in the vehicle of that immigration officer. And of course, the immigration officer reported the matter to a supervisor, superior, and that matter was brought to the chief of police. And the chief of police was not very happy that the senior police officer brought that matter up. And
I wonder. I mean, the officer broke the law, and you're telling me that the commissioner of police, according to your information, was not happy that the senior officer reported that.
He was not happy at all. In fact, that he was given a scolding, and it was brought to the Minister of Justice, Reuben Blackmore. He too gave the supervising officer a serious scolding. And so, Matt, the supervisor of the special branch officer asked that he be transferred because he's working in a sensitive position. And the commissioner said he sees no reason why that officer should be transferred. That is what Commissioner Carbon said. He sees no reason why that
the special branch officer should be transferred.
Should be transferred. But he transfers other people unilaterally. He before he has anything, you are transferred. Whether it be for punishment or whatever, you just transferred. But this officer, he decided that as far as he's concerned, he has done nothing wrong to be transferred. And he remains in his position.
So how are other police officers, Carla? I'm sure you've spoken to other police officers. What are they saying now? How are they reacting to this?
It is not good. It is not good at all. And they are frustrated. They are unhappy. And the morale of the police force continues to go further and further down the drain. And as we speak about that, Matt, I just remember something that I had to tell you. Do you know that they recently made an appointment, I think it's effective 2nd of August, at the Financial Intelligence Unit? One, I think Inspector Farrell, is it Farrell, that's his name? Mr. George, Corporal George, has been acting in that position for a while now, well trained. And so what training, is the officer that they now have in charge? Zero training.
What training does he have in intelligence or financial intelligence?
Zero training, Matt, and that is my biggest question. So effective, I think 2nd of August, he is going to be heading that department. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
So do you know why the senior officer there, who was heading the Financial Intelligence Unit, do you know why he was transferred back to the ministry?
Well, I don't know if he has been transferred because he's a corporal of police.
No, I'm not talking to the corporal. The one before that, Carlisle, the gentleman in charge.
Oh, that was the gentleman Lander.
Yes. What happened to Lander?
Well, Lander was seconded to that position. Lander is not a yes boy. Lander is a straight fella. He will do his work professionally. He is an economist by profession, and he was doing his work professionally, Matt. And
he has a lot of training in finance as well.
Oh yes, very, very skilled, trained, and qualified. And they could not have their way with Lander, and so they sent him back to his substantive post. And the same goes, I don't know where they're going to put Corporal George. Corporal George has been in that department for a while. He's been acting head of the department. So I don't know what they're going to do with him, if they're going to send him back to the police force, or if they're just going to keep him there.
And you're right, Carlisle. He too, has gained a lot of experience over the years.
Oh, yes.
And, I've seen him on several trips going to train other people overseas. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's job for the boys, They putting a lot of people square pegs in the wrong hole. This is what is happening. And, further demoralizing the police force, further demoralizing them and police officers. I mean, some of them, they're just going through the motion. And, but like I always say, Matt, there are a number of very, very good, honest police officers in the police force. There are a number of them there who take their duties very, very seriously. In CID, you have some hard-working individuals. And the out district police stations also, you have some hard-working individuals and in other departments. But in the same breath, you have other departments where you have some police officers who are just carry go and carry come, bring go and bring come. And so, square pegs in wrong hole. Some of them cannot even write a statement. But they must go to court. Must come to court one day and hear some of them when they testify in the magistrate's court and even in the high court. how they make a mess of themselves, and how under cross-examination they cannot even withstand the test of cross-examination, some of them.
Carolina Baptist, thank you very much. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the opposition leader, yes, something big is happening today. The big protest from the Lindo Park. We're going to come back right after this.
This is it, the 2016 Madam Wap Duet Canada Cultural Show. Madam of Madams is on Saturday, October 1st, 2016 at the St. Peter's and Paul Banquet Hall, 231 Milner Avenue, Markham Road and 401 in Toronto, Canada. The best of Dominica's culture will be on display as we celebrate the Madam Wap Duet Canada's 5th anniversary. The Madam Wap Duet Canada Cultural Show, Madam of Madams, will be a fierce contest as past winners and runners-up bring their experience, flair, and beauty to the stage. There can only be one Madam of Madams. This year's theme is Viva CC Calderon, honoring one of Dominica's cultural advocates, Mabel Alice CC Calderon. Tickets are only $50 for dinner, show, and dancing. October 1st, 2016 Madam Wap Duet Canada Cultural Show, Madam of Madams, at the St. Peter's and Paul Banquet Hall, 231 Milner Avenue in Toronto, Canada. See you there.
The match of 1,000 Patriots coming this Thursday.
Show Dominica that we can stand for what is right in Dominica.
A match for jobs, lower cost of living, and better quality of life. A match for justice and electoral reform. A match against the abuse of our children. A match against bad governance, corruption, and spending of public money.
Dominicans and Patriots, ladies and gentlemen.
Show Dominica that we can stand for what is right in Dominica.
Join the match for 1,000 Dominican Patriots, standing for God, standing for country. This Thursday, July 28th, 4:30 p.m. from Lindo Park through the city of Roseau. Yes, you heard right, from 4:30 p.m. this Thursday from Lindo Park through the streets of Roseau, ending in a mega meeting in Lagon from 7 p.m. From every corner of Dominica, 1,000 Patriots march on Roseau. This Thursday, put your boots on the ground. On the ground.
Don't give up the fight.
It's scheduled for 4:30. The 1,000-man match. But we'll talk about that in a minute. The opposition leader is in the house. But before that, let's go back to yesterday for a minute there on the budget presentation. I met somebody late yesterday evening, and I have to admit that the person says, Matt, I don't like Lennox. It was like that quote, I don't like Lennox, but I have to admit this is one of the best I've heard from an opposition leader in terms of the budget presentation.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
I'm being honest here.
We try our best, Matt, and in the limited time available, we try to bring meaning and perspective for better understanding of the public what's really going on. Because I do get the impression sometimes that a number of people on the government side don't even understand and are not challenged to understand what is in the budget presentation. What are the implications of it for where we are going in Dominica? I mean, we come with a budget this time around that indicates some major shifts in the funding of government activities, and it's almost as though like it has always happened. We are saying this year, when 2 years ago the government was reliant on economic citizenship, the sale of passports, and they can call it how they want, but it's effectively selling a passport, or was relying on that source of revenue for 6% of its recurrent income. That 6% over a 2-year period has now moved to 35%, 35.5%. But at the same time, agencies like the IMF are telling us this is a source of revenue that is uncertain and that could come to a sudden stop. But look at our reliance on it. If we don't hit those numbers, if it comes to a sudden stop for some reason or another in the course of the next fiscal year, God knows what will happen. Because, for example, in the capital budget, $313 million, 171 million of it is going to come from economic citizenship in 2016, 2017. There is a worrying trend about having to do with our success on attracting grant funding. The government for years told us how excellent it was and how much nobody else. They stopped talking about grant funding now because they have been consistently well below the targets that they set for themselves. Even in a year like 2015, 2016, the tropical storm Erica year, when a lot of sympathies from the rest of the world should have propelled us to a higher level of grant funding receipts, we actually got less than 1/3 of what we budgeted for. Thank God there was some significant growth in the reporting of significant growth in the economic citizenship revenues last year on the order of $76 million, and that helped to cushion a lot of the effect of this underperformance of the grant funding of the government. Now, I'm listening to the debate and I'm hearing people talking about, the opposition criticized the NEP and they said it was an election gimmick, but look, it's still going on and so on. The fact of the matter is that it was an election gimmick. And yes, it is still going on, but it is going on at what level? The NEP was used by the government to buy votes in 2014. The record shows that. You know how the record shows it? In the last 3 fiscal years, ending in the fiscal year 2015-2016, which ended on June 30th, 2016, over that 3-year period, that 3-year fiscal cycle, the government spent $27 million on the National Employment Program. That is what their numbers tell us. These are the numbers they're seeking approval for in the official estimates. And according to those estimates, $27.1 million was spent on the NEP. The election year was 2014-2015. In that year alone, the government spent $14.4 million, or 53% of the total amount. The other 2 years, 47%. So over 2 years of the 3 years, you spent 47%. In the election year, you spent 53% of the money. What was happening? Whose fools do you think we are? Obviously, you significantly increased the national employment spend in the election year, which effectively meant you were using public resources to buy influence and buy votes for yourself in election. It is as plain as daylight. And then we come to the economic citizenship, Matt, which is a reason, people must go out on the streets this afternoon. The government finally, after years of requests for more transparency and accountability with the economic citizenship revenues, the government is reporting this year, outside of the official estimates, what it is getting from the sale of passports. In the estimates, they give us a figure of $99 million on the recurrent side. So we get 99 million in the estimates this year as having been collected in 2015, 2016. Remember the collection in 2014, 2015, they told us was 23 million. Then the target there, 23 million, was against a budget of 80 million. So they fell short by $57 million on the budget. Then they came to the next year, which was this year, and they budgeted $70 million. They are now reporting 99 million. So it means they exceeded the budget by $29 million. That is what they have in the estimates, the official estimates which the parliament is being asked to approve. However, in the budget statement of Mrs. Carrot, we get a disclosure that in 2015-2016, the amount collected from economic citizenship was $279.6 $36.8 million, which means the economic citizenship revenue that flowed into Dominica in 2015-2016 was underreported by $180.8 million.
So where is that money, Mr. Lennox Linton, deposited?
I'm going to get to that. The government is claiming, so the underreporting is $180 million. But here what happened. Of the $279.8 million, the government is claiming that it spent $133 million. But it is only reporting 99 of the 133. The 34 million that remains, they paid commissions to the marketer and the promoter, $15.7 million. They paid due diligence, $15.5 million. And they refunded $2.5 million to applications that were not successful. So out of the 279 that came in last year, according to the government, they spent $133 million, which leaves $146 million that was collected last year but not spent and is not in the consolidated fund. We have asked in the parliament and we hope we get an answer. Under what legal authority are you withholding $146.8 million of money collected from the sale of passports, which is revenue raised for Dominica? Under what authority are you holding that outside of the consolidated fund, given the clear provisions of Section 6 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Dominica, which according to our read and simple understanding requires legal authority to be held outside of the consolidated fund for a specific purpose? We don't know what the purpose is. And, you know, if you have $146 million collected for this year that you have not used, and you're holding it there to go and use it next year, you still come into the parliament for approval for an overdraft of $36.5 million? People need overdraft when they don't have their own money to spend. But if you have $146 million hanging around that you have not used, that you have not found reason to use, in the year that you're going to spend it, you're coming now to ask for an overdraft of $36.5 million? You have the free money available to you. Why are you going to buy expensive money from the bank to say you have an overdraft, but you have money that nobody has to charge you for?
146.
Actually, it's sitting in the bank. It should be making interest for you. $146.8 million. So the more the government comes to you with information, the more questions emerge, and the more they're not answering the question. All they do, they want to mépouser people. They want to cry you down. They want to criticize you. They want to get personal. They want to pick you apart. They want to insult you. We're asking questions so that the public can better understand where they are. So, Matt,
but before you go on, I heard Ian Douglas in response to, of course, your presentation yesterday, saying, well, the opposition is always criticizing, saying this and saying that, but they can never present alternatives. Did you hear?
That's absolute rubbish. Ian Douglas doesn't know what he's talking about. Ian Douglas was given a job by the Labour Party to come and to talk right after the leader of the opposition and to make some dishonest comments about what I said. And to be given the impression that they had no recommendations in there. There are clear recommendations inside there. And if you listened well to what was going on, you would realize that there is great value in what we have presented. And if what we have presented is taken seriously, we will end up with a better budget strategy, for a fiscal strategy for Dominica in the year coming. Well, as you have explained though, we are not included in the budget preparation cycle early enough to allow us to make contributions, to allow us to make suggestions that will get factored into the actual strategy paper. The government goes and it speaks to who it wants. It speaks to the DIC, it speaks to maybe the Hotel Association. It picks what it's going to implement from them. We're not part of those discussions, you know. And in other countries in the civilized world, what happens? You have bipartisan committees of the parliament, budget committees, finance committees, before whom stakeholders appear and say their piece. And they get questioned, they get asked questions. So they're making their proposals to a bipartisan committee of the House. What we're doing in Dominica is the old archaic nonsense of government by ambush, where we go privately with the stakeholders, talk to them because we have the power of government, we leave the opposition out of it, and then a week before the budget, the opposition sees the numbers that are being proposed, the allocation for spending and revenue generation that are being proposed, and then we hear the statement, the budget statement, how these monies are going to be spent. And then a day later, less than 24 hours later, the opposition is supposed to respond. That's the kind of nonsense that goes on in Dominica. And they expect us. So Ian Douglas comes yesterday and he talks about, I'll give an example. Oh, they're talking about monies and where this and where that. The opposition is on the Public Accounts Committee and the opposition can ask questions and demand the answers from the public officers and they have to give it to him by law and so on. I'm sitting there listening to this guy and I'm saying, bro, I am the Public Accounts Committee chairman and I know we have made specific information requests to senior public officers who have refused to give us the information and have directed us to their ministers instead. Now, in the Public Accounts Committee, we are not concerned with policy, which is what the ministers are responsible for. We're concerned with how the monies that have been budgeted, approved, budgeted for a particular cycle are spent. How the monies are raised, how they are spent. What is happening on a day-to-day basis? The rubber hits the road now. Government is running. How are these monies being spent? So that we have an oversight role in that regard. We monitor to see what's going on, and we put ourselves in a position to be helpful to the cabinet now in terms of what is going wrong that needs to be set right, in terms of where there may be shortfalls that you need a new decision on. So we'll be doing like latest estimates on the inflow of revenue, latest estimates on how the monies are being spent. Why have we not spent this money, this $100,000 that we budgeted for that particular activity? Those sorts of things. So instead of just approving a budget and leaving it alone, the PAC now will have this oversight responsibility of how the funds are being spent, the pace at which they're going, whether we're on target to hit, whether we're on track to hit the targets and so on. The government is using its majority in the parliament to frustrate genuine oversight of public finances and government business. And we have to move away from that.
Let's take two phone calls before we move to the discussion of what is going on this afternoon here. Hello, talk to me.
I do not like Mr. Linton.
You don't like...
But that is beyond prime ministerial. That is presidential material.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations for that delivery yesterday, bro.
Thank you very much, sir.
And more blessings be to you. So I join in the person that says I do not like Mr. Linton, but that's the best I ever. Yeah,
I love you back.
Anyway, Mr. Linton, I'm listening to everything, really, there's a lot to digest. But something, can you please explain to me, Matt? I'm going to be quick. Having to do with the West Coast rehabilitation after Erica. And then you have a one China policy with many things in it, where you borrow money from China or they give you a grant. And the Chinese are going to do the work for any infrastructural project. The Chinese will be producing the labor. But, Mr. Linton, is it true, my God, that we have citizenship by investment money, over $40 million, given the Chinese for them to rehabilitate the West Coast Road after Erica? Is that so, sir? Did I misunderstand what was being said?
No, well, I'm under the impression that that is going to be done by the Chinese.
Yeah, but the monies are coming from our coffers.
Well, I'm hoping that is a misunderstanding or a typographical error or something, because the impression that the government has given is that the $40 million is the Chinese responsibility.
My God. So what I am saying, we already have to, and even when we take loans from China, we have to pay interest, and still a double interest by the Chinese providing the labor. And if that money is coming from the citizenship by investment program, and for that money to be given to the Chinese, what will be the tonnage of the straw that will break our camel back? Blessings, King.
Blessings too. Let's take a phone call. Hello.
Good afternoon, Matt, and good afternoon, Honorable Linton.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thanks.
A wonderful presentation yesterday.
Thank you very much.
Think, all things, even if you had been given a month, I don't think you could have done better than this. So on that basis, congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Blessings is bang on, because I've told myself that this is something I have to be marching for this afternoon, because I heard the Prime Minister say that 41 million or what is coming from the CBI, or citizens by investment. I believe that's what I heard,
right.
And subsequently on your program, this same program, when Dr. Fontaine was on, someone called and asked, did he in fact hear that the Prime Minister in his budget referred to this money coming from the CBI? And Dr. Fontaine, again, if I remember, he said yes. So with all of this is why I am angry, because I just cannot see that the Prime Minister has been telling us all along that China is going to do this rehabilitation and all of this. We heard they signed this document, the Chinaman telling us, well, anyways, be patient with us, because even if it's a sign, we have this and that to do. Everything indicating clearly this is a Chinese thing. So if it is true that this in fact is not a mistake, that this money is coming from us and they bring in the Chinese people to come and do this job, I say this is a next level, according to the labor people. This is a next level of abuse of this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The question has definitely been raised, and there is need for the government to answer and to clarify what the situation is. This coming year, there's going to be $313 million worth of capital expenditure, projects worth the $313 million. Out of that, $171 million will be from the sale of passports, which essentially is Dominica's money. The big question for the carpenters and masons and plumbers, the employees at public works, the engineers of this country who are involved typically in those sorts of projects and expect to be employed, expect to have work to do as a result of that, is what amount of that $171 million of the money that belongs to the people of Dominica will actually trickle down from those projects into the hands, into the pockets, into the families of Dominicans, where it can buy bread and it can pay rent, and it can help to lift the economic livelihood of the ordinary people of this country. Because you see, the government has started a trend. They're using CBI money to build a bridge in Roseau, that $18.2 million bridge. But the contract was awarded without tender, claiming emergency, claiming it was urgent and so on. And as a result of that, you did not need to follow the public tender provisions of the Procurement and Contract Administrations Act. Our view is that the government has behaved illegally, and we will see what the court says in that matter involving the Joint Consultative Committee on the Construction Sector. So Dominicans should keep their eyes on this $313 million worth of capital expenditure for the year 2016-2017, and in particular on the $171 million to come to fund projects, capital projects, from the sale of Dominican passports. Because you do not want to see a situation where $171 million from our passports continues to go either into the hands of people overseas, and or primarily into the hands of the friends and supporters of the sitting administration. This money must spread around Dominica, and I see no reason why, with $171 million of capital expenditure coming from the sale of passports, you cannot have a vibrant public works unit where people are employed and people continue to do the excellent work that they have been known to do for the people of Dominica, being part of the government system. You see, Matt, Tropical Storm Erica left us with a lot of assets, you know. There was a mining miracle somewhere in Tropical Storm Erica there that would require a lot of dynamite ordinarily. Tropical Storm Erica took all the boulders, it took the stones, it took the sand, it brought them into the gorges and the ravines and the riverbeds of Dominica. We have more than enough material sitting down across the country as a result of Tropical Storm Erica to build more houses than we need to resettle people wherever they need to be resettled, and to spark a housing revolution and a housing market in Dominica with all the stones and the sands that we have. We're happy to receive the petrocasas and so from Venezuela. But what about the material that God has blessed us with right here? What are we doing with it? And the budget is silent on that.
That's a big question. And we'll come back right after this to talk about
of 1,000 Patriots coming this Thursday.
Show Dominica that we can stand for what is right in Dominica.
A match for jobs, lower cost of living, and better quality of life. A match for justice and electoral reform. A match against the abuse of our children. A match against bad governance, corruption, and spending of public money.
Dominicans and Patriots, ladies and gentlemen,
Show Dominica that we can stand for what is right in Dominica.
Join the match for 1,000 Dominican Patriots, standing for God, standing for country. This Thursday, July 28th, 4:30 p.m. from Lindo Park through the city of Roseau. Yes, you heard right, from 4:30 p.m. this Thursday from Lindo Park through the streets of Roseau, ending in a mega meeting in Lagon from 7 p.m. From every corner of Dominica, 1,000 Patriots march on Roseau. This Thursday, put your boots on the ground. On the ground.
Don't give up the fight.
Yes, Mr. Linton, tell me what's going on.
Well, we just about there, Matt. In a couple of hours, we'll be moving off from Lindo Park. The Patriots are coming from all around Dominica. They're coming into the city, and we will assemble at Lindo Park from 3 o'clock. We'll be there, and we'll move off from the location at 4:30. We have a route that we're following through the city, approved by the police, and we will end with a massive public meeting in Lagon tonight from 7 o'clock. Understand, Matt, that there really is a lot to talk about, and I cannot emphasize enough the necessity for protest action in democracies where governments are serving people and people have legitimate questions about the results of the service that the government is providing. We need no more than to read the budget presentation, the Prime Minister, to read the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that, to realize the amount of same old that we're having. And to realize that there are significant sections of the population of Dominica that are being taken for fools, that are being sent on rides, when what they're looking for is justice, when what they're looking for is legitimate access to the resources of the state in which they pay their taxes, in which they wake up every morning and breathe the air and slave and struggle to make ends meet and to do their best for country. We have the situation, Matt, of the national hospital that is needed at Marigot. This is the government that is sitting on $146.8 million from passport money it did not use. It collected last year but did not use, has not placed it in the consolidated fund, and has it in some account somewhere holding. That is telling you it doesn't have the money for a national hospital at Marigot to serve the Kalinago territory down to Calabishi and to provide the accident and emergency care needs for the national hospital. It is unacceptable. The government has reduced this Marigot matter, this matter of the hospital to be in Marigot, to 14 words in the budget, and a provision of $300,000 now for design and preparatory work. That clearly cannot be acceptable when the urgency, the need is now for the airport, for the hospital. We need a hospital in Marigot more than we need any bridge in Roseau, more than we need many of the projects for which millions of dollars are being provided for in the year going forward. The government knows what the problem is. The hospital was shut down for termite infestation 2 years ago. It was shut down again this year for mold infestation. And now we are being told we must wait another year while the government takes an entire year to put plans together. The plans were supposed to have been worked on for the last 2 years. So what have we been waiting on? The government tells us you need to wait still. While the people of Marigot cannot get blood tests done, the people of the area cannot get blood tests done because there's no vehicle to take the blood to the location where it will be tested after the blood has been drawn from the people of the area. What is going on? What? The other matter, for years, motorists in Marigot Wesley area passing around on that road around the airport there have been complaining about the
sea blast,
the sea surges onto the road and the salt water damaging their vehicles. They have been complaining about that. They've been complaining and complaining and complaining. There have been promise after promise after promise. This year, the government says in the budget, it is providing $4.8 million to correct the wave overtopping problem at Melville Hall. But you know what they're doing? They're putting 1 million now and the 3.8 million in the next year. But this is an emergency. Put the $3.8 million first and the 1 million after. So you start and you finish in this year. If you don't finish, you will spend the balance in the following year. But in your contempt and utter disregard for the people of the area, who by the way did not vote for you, you are starting off with 1 million, and then hopefully you will go to the 3.8 million to complete the project. We are saying, do it the other way around. Let's have the $3.8 million spent in 2016, 2017, because this is a matter we have been waiting on for correction for almost 10 years now. Almost 10 years. But the government continues, and so we'll be on the streets of Roseau this afternoon. We'll be on the streets.
Optimistic?
Well, yeah, Matt. I mean,
expecting the numbers?
Optimistic because of where we are, because of the situation in which we find ourselves, and the necessity for people to indicate to the government enough is enough. And we cannot continue like this. We simply cannot continue like this.
Let's take a phone call. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon.
Yes, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Good afternoon, Mr. Linton.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, as I'm hearing you talking about what's happening with Marigot and the budget allocation for the hospitals, that doesn't make sense to me. Now, you have two situations there, the Marigot Hospital and the wall where the water coming in. And you're telling me the government is not giving it high priority as an emergency. I think besides the match today, the people of Marigot and the people of Dominica should really come out in large numbers to deal with that particular situation in Marigot. Because the match today, yes, is for all that. But that the area of Marigot must really come out and the people must join in that effort to see that, in other words, the government will not do nothing. The people need to let the government do something and not the government doing what it wants and then having the people to wait for another year. To me, that is unacceptable.
Will you be at the match today?
That goes without saying, my brother. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Hello. 449-3095. We have a few more minutes here.
Matt.
Yes.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to Honorable Lennox Linton, leader of the opposition.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Matt, after I listened to the presentation from the leader of the opposition, I thought the Prime Minister was the leader of the opposition, and I thought the leader of the opposition was the Prime Minister. And the ministers of government who are sitting on the government side, they know very well that Honorable Lennox Linton deliver and deliver good. I love this man because this man has been a man of openness, transparency. Matt, I am sick and I will be there this afternoon. I will be there this afternoon because the level of corruption, when you listen to the budget, Matt, is the same old dirty wine in another bottle. What is in the budget for young people? Mr. Skelly talk about jobs. It's just jobs for the boys. What is in it for farmers? What is in it for young people, Matt? Nothing is in it for young people. People are leaving school and they cannot get work, Matt. Farmers are balling, teachers are balling. You haven't got, what is in it for the Marigot Hospital? Anything? Matt,
I know you sound like you're very frustrated. Yes. Hello. 4493095. Nobody there. Let's take this phone call. Yes.
I heard you prepare a special wheelchair for me with horn and engine and anyway coming.
Hello, talk to me.
Mr. Linton, Matt and the listening public, good afternoon. You know, common sense is not common. And I cannot make any comment on your presentation, Mr. Linton, because I wasn't in a position to listen, but I do know it is one that is highly regarded by those who have common sense. And I applaud the people who say they don't love you, but they recognize the genuine people who still acknowledges the truth. No, Mr. Linton, you cannot be bought, neither can you be sold. And